Peace, blessings, salutations. Yurima Karama here again, real life, real talk. These are the days of our lives. So, um, I got a friend that reached out to me, and his question that he asked was, Yurima, how do you deal with racism on a daily basis? I mean, how do you cope? How do you deal? And I'm not going to mention his name, but I'm going to give a little bit of background on his particular story, and then you'll kind of figure out why he's presenting this question. So, this brother and he and I have been corresponding over the course of some months now. So, this brother is Brazilian, and his story is kind of unique in the sense that his Brazilian mother was raped at a young age. She had him, gave him up for adoption because he was conceived through the rape. So she gave him up for adoption, and during the adoption process, he was in. I don't know how the Brazilian system works that well, but during that process, an Australian family adopted him. An Australian white family adopted him, and so and the reason this is pertinent, and he even brought it up when he asked the question when we were corresponding. He said that he watched a video that I did, and you can kind of go to my YouTube page. I did a video, I think about a week and a half ago, dealing with. There was a meme that came across my Facebook screen dealing with two gay white men who had adopted a black baby boy, and so there was a big hoopla about that, both on YouTube and on my Facebook page. But in any case, he spoke about that because he said, I watched that video, and although my parents weren't gay, they were white. And so basically, this gentleman, he grew up in went to an all-white Australian school, and had to face all the racism that and the only black kid in an all-white school of over 1,000 kids. You can only imagine the racism, and then we're talking about Australia at that. So you have the whole thing of the Aboriginals and that whole thing that went on, and how they brutalized. I mean, the amount of savagery that took place in Australia by white Australians against the indigenous Aboriginals in that country. That history is on par with our history, black history here in this country. I mean, the brutalization and just the pure savagery that took place with those people. So, but now you're taking a black kid who's adopted by an Australian family, and now he's put in an all-white school. So he his situation. He said white girls didn't like him. He was always waiting on a basically a black queen to come so that he could have a relationship. And I'm not going to go into the sexual orientation and that, but he did eventually marry a black woman. But he wanted to know because the racism that they face over there, but how we as well face some of the rules of engagement that we deal with over here. And when he presented the question, I was kind of like, racism is so embedded in the DNA and the fabric of our country. And when we take it on a global scale, I think it's so embedded in the fabric that we don't even, a lot of times we don't even realize it. We just deal with it. I mean, it's just like we just deal with it as a group, as it comes in. Shalom, Angelica, Angelisa. Yeah, we just kind of deal with it as a group, and then when something serious happens, like an innocent kid gets killed who's unarmed, then it kind of shines a brighter light, and we take a closer look. But I think systemic racism is something that we have learned to just in the back of our psyche, we have learned to just kind of deal with it, even to some cases overlook it, because it's like it's so natural. Which therein lies the problem, because it's so natural that it's no longer considered unnatural. It's kind of like we just deal with that. We walk, we go to a job, or we're in a store, we see a racist act. Maybe it happens to us, maybe it doesn't. Because truth be told, I'm not sure that we deal with racist acts directed at us every day. But there is this thing called systemic racism. There is this thing called institutional racism. And there is this thing called social racism. And so I think that although we might not deal with it on a daily, when we do come in contact with it, I think we recognize it. A lot of times we might even smile it off. We might say in the back of our minds, racist. And we keep it moving. But I think in this gentleman's case, and he lended his voice to the fact that he said, when when you put up that post about the two gay white men who had adopted the black baby boy, he said, I really felt what you were saying when you were saying that was an abnormal situation. He said, because this guy that I'm talking about in Australia said that his white parents were not well equipped at all to teach him how to deal with racism over there, or to teach him how to deal with it at school, or they did not prepare him as a black boy to be able to go out and be able to function. So he said these are things that he had to learn on his own, that he had to gather on his own because nobody there was there to teach him. And he also made reference to the fact, Peace Queen, he also made reference to the fact that his other white family members who were relatives of the adoptive family, that he was an outcast amongst them, that basically they accused him of theft. They gave the dirty looks, the dirty snide comments. And this is something, I mean, when we talk about traumatic experiences, this has got to be a traumatic experience. First of all, you're given up for adoption, and then you're adopted by a white Australian family that has no way of being able to teach you how to go out and prepare yourself and put on that social armor that you're going to need to function in a racist environment, a racist society. And I think that some of us, even those of us who come from who had who come from black families, our mother and our father was black. Some of us even had a hard time because maybe they didn't equip us. They equipped us with something, but to be able to go out and function. And so my thing to him is that I think that it's so embedded in the fabric of our societies, and this is a global thing. So this thing has spread its wing. It's obviously it's not just here in the U.S. You're experiencing it over in Australia. Brazil, we know, is experiencing it. Even places like the Dominican Republic experience it. The Caribbean experiences it. I just did a video yesterday with a brother from London, from the UK, and he's talking about the subtle racism that takes place over there and what they deal with. So this is a worldwide epidemic, and I think that we as black people, we have just gotten to a point where it's become so natural, and that's a problem. I mean, taken in its total context, when a deviant behavior and deviant acts, when they become normal, that probably means we need to make a reassessment and really look at things, and even the acts that we might lend voice to, such as Jesse Williams talking about the lending his voice like he did. And white people become so defensive with that, to the point where they want to talk about doing a petition and all of that. And so even when we lend our voice and we see things, the defense mechanism is already put up. They automatically, oh, you're always talking about racism, everything isn't race, and so that's become a natural response for them. And with that, the problem can never be resolved because there's always going to be this collision. We're going to see it. They've never sat down to really talk with us and wanted to dialogue and really find out. And so they're never going to see it. And so for the brother in Australia, my thing is that for the traumatic life experience that you had to face, it's apparent that you even recognize the problem now and you're willing to talk about it. That's a part of therapy. But I commend you, brother, for even reaching out, wanting to know. Because when we want to know, when we start searching for answers, that makes us better. And again, it's we have these type of situations individuals go through. I always say, in order to do something, you got to go through something. And I love these type of stories when individuals really reach out and give their personal individual stories, because it can lend voice to somebody out there who might have a similar experience, and now they can say, oh, I'm not the only one going through this. No, you're not. You're not the only one going through that. And sometimes, man, your stories can be a testimony for somebody else who needs to hear that. And I tell that to my artistic friends in the artistic community. Never be shy about spreading your voice. Never be shy about saying what it is you need to say, because you might be that testimony for somebody that needs to hear that. You might be the one that saves that person's life. An old guy told me once, he said, Urema, he said, read, study, do what you do. Read, study. He said, you know why? Because you might be the only Bible that a person ever gets a chance to hear, because they might not read, they might not study. So you have to be that one, and I think we all have to be that one. When we know better, we got to do better. So for the brother in Australia, man, I commend you for reaching out. I commend you for sharing your story with me and allowing me to share it with the viewing audience. But also, more importantly, we need to start making those connections across borders, across seas. It's so very important that we need to start reaching out. And I always look for that opportunity whenever it presents itself. I want to hear from our brothers and sisters all over the universe, because we are the dominant population, believe it or not. I mean, the Europeans and white Americans, they're only 15-17% of the world population. So we are that dominant population, people of color. And so we need to interact and reach out to one another and share those stories, because they're so very important. Modern day griots. So again, my name is Urema Karama, man. I just wanted to really touch on this point. And give this brother some feedback. I hope I did help you, brother. And again, anybody else, please reach out. You can also go to my other YouTube videos. I got my own YouTube channel. You can check out my videos there. I also do a lot of YouTube videos on Dr. Boyce Watkins' channel as well. Matter of fact, that brother and myself are meeting later today for lunch, so I'm going to pick his brain about some financial stuff, and maybe we can get a live stream with him and I, as we conversate. So, you might want to be looking out for that. I'm looking forward to it. Dr. Boyce is not only a great, profound financial guru, but he's also a good friend, and I'm so appreciative of the work that he's doing, has been doing in the community, and all the things that he's doing for our people. But he's also been a great friend. So until next time, my name is Urema Karama. Also be looking for my album, Up From the Trenches Out of the Tombs. That should be coming within the next few weeks. I'm waiting on the editing and the mastering to get done. And it's 18 tracks, bangers. Also got a new poetry album out called Contradictions in Love and Pain. That will be out on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, CD Baby, Bandcamp very soon. So go to my webpage, www.uremakarama.com. If you want to message me, if you want me to talk about a particular subject that's of interest to you, hit me up. Also, you can go there for my booking information. So with that said, Urema Karama, until next time, peace, blessings, salutations. I'm out. One.